Hello, my name is Dr. Ominde, and we're going to discuss the histological organization of the mammary gland briefly. This is a continuation on the appendages of the skin. Remember, the mammary gland is a modified sweat gland. So we will discuss the different histological organization of the nipple, the areola, the glandular portion of the mammary gland, as well as the ducts, and then the differences between lactating and non-lactating mammary glands, and the various cellular mechanisms involved in the formation and release of milk. So as an introduction, the mammary glands are modified sweat glands. So they are sort of an appendage of the skin, and they have a compound tubular alveolar structure made up of 15 to 20 irregular lobes. Usually they have ducts from these 15 to 20 lobes, so 15 to 20 ducts that will open at the nipple. And the mammary gland, you need to also remember it is influenced by the sex hormones that are secreted by the ovaries. So the breast tissue usually comprises epithelial elements, which is the glandular portion, as well as the stroma. And the stromal portion of the breast tissue contains the connective tissue and adipose tissue. Mainly the adipose tissue. So you have the collagen fibers plus adipose tissue. So the nipple areolar region is where you have the 15 to 20 lactiferous ducts opening, and these ducts are lined by what looks like stratified squamous epithelium. So they will have their own lining, but outside the lining of the ducts, we have the myoepithelial cells, so that gives it a stratified appearance. Then deeper in the connective tissue, the ducts usually acquire stratified columnar appearance that is really a cuboidal duct sitting on myoepithelial cells, as we have said. Then we have the sebaceous glands in the nipple areolar area, and these form the Montgomery's tubercles. So within the nipple areolar area, the Damas is usually dense, contains dense irregular connective tissue, and it's usually interrupted by numerous fascicles of smooth muscles. So you have smooth muscle cells within the Damas of the nipple areolar area, and this Damas has dense irregular connective tissue. The muscles are responsible for erection of the nipple. Again, the nipple areolar area has abundant nerves within the Damas. So this is the nipple. So you can appreciate the stratified squamous epithelium, and then you have abundant dense irregular connective tissue. Then you'll see lots of nerves and also smooth muscle fascicles that are responsible for an erect nipple for suckling, and also the nerves, because you need this nipple to be sensitive in response to suckling, which is going to, that sensitivity is going to stimulate more of milk expulsion. Then we have an inactive mammary gland. In an inactive mammary gland, the gland is not producing milk, so you will have more of the stromal tissue than the parenchyma, than the glandular portion. So the parenchyma will have more stromal tissue than glandular portion. So you'll see abundant adipose tissue, the dense irregular connective tissue will be more. Then when you're to look at the secretory portion, the lobules will be quiescent. So the glandular lobules will be quiescent, they're not producing milk, so they will not have features of active protein synthesis, and the ducts will have less layers because you have the ducts will have two layers of cuboidal epithelium. So you have an inner layer of the ductular epithelium and an outer layer of myoepithelial cells. However, the ducts are not patent. So there are no secretions, so they don't need to be open to allow any secretion. So they're not patent. So an inactive mammary gland has more stromal tissue made up of more adipose and more dense irregular connective tissue. The glandular portion is present, however, it is quiescent, lacking features of protein synthesis because you're not producing milk, and the ducts will still have simple cuboidal epithelium and myoepithelial cells. However, the ducts are not patent because milk is not being expelled. So this is a histological structure of an inactive mammary gland. You can appreciate the connective tissue, and the glandular portion is quiescent. Again, this is to show you simple cuboidal epithelial lining of a duct and myoepithelial cells surrounding it. Then this is the connective tissue stroma. You can appreciate the fibroblasts. Then you can see this is the glandular portion, and this is the connective tissue stroma. this is the glandular portion of the gland, and this is an inactive mammary gland because the glandular portion is quiescent. Okay, the nuclei are not large, they're not enchromatic. Then we go to an active mammary gland. An active mammary gland is producing milk, so you will have more glandular portion than the connective tissue stroma, and the glandular portion will be active, so the cells will be producing milk, so they will have features of protein synthesizing cell, and the ducts, of course, you'll see the cuboidal and the myoepithelial cells that are lining the ducts. So the glandular portion, the cells, you see many cells, and then the cells are producing milk, so features of protein synthesis like abundant rough endoplasmic reticulum and ribosomes, lots of secretory vesicles. Then you'll also see a lot of plasma cells, because remember, as the baby is suckling, the bacteria in the baby's mouth that can enter the breast tissue from the nipple. So you need lots of plasma cells to protect this breast that is lactating. And then the epithelial cells are usually larger. So an active mammary gland has less adipose tissue. So when you ask what are the differences between lactating and non-lactating mammary gland, lactating mammary gland is active, so it has more cells in the glandular portion. These cells have a prominent nucleus, prominent and chromatic nucleolus, abundant ribosomes, and rough endoplasmic reticulum, features of mitotic spindles. Then they will also have a lot of secretory, supranuclear secretory vesicles containing proteins. So the glandular portion will be active, producing milk. The ducts will be patent to allow milk to flow. Presence of simple cuboidal epithelium lining the ducts and myoepithelial cells around them. So that's the glandular portion. While the stromal parenchyma will be limited or small proportion within a lactating mammary gland. But when you're to discuss a non-lactating mammary gland, it will have more stroma, more adipose, more dense connective tissue, while it has less glandular tissue, and the glandular tissue does not have features of protein synthesizing cells. The cells are quiescent, the nucleus is not large and prominent, the protein synthesizing organelles are not prominent or numerous in a non-lactating mammary gland. Lactating mammary gland also has immune cells like the plasma cells to protect the breast tissue from microbes that may enter as the baby is suckling. So those are the differences between lactating and non-lactating mammary gland. Thank you.